Thank you. Thank you. Check. Check 1, 2. Can anybody hear me out there? Hey, awesome.
Taste test, taste tests.
We want to thank you all for coming out tonight at the Art Mixer. We appreciate Art Mixer putting this on and connecting all these wonderful people together to look at the great potential that's within our neighbors that have been labeled disabled. So we're excited to be here with you. We are Triune Trio. My name is David Scott. On keys is Mr. D.G. Smith. And our guest tonight, our special guest tonight for you is on conga, our percussionist, Mr. Tony Why Not Williams. You'll be hearing from him on the panel here shortly. So we got a little bit more music for you, and then we hope you enjoy it, and then we'll get to our panel. Check, check, check. Hey, there is something. There's somebody out there. It sounds like me.
I like the t-shirt. Large.
1, 2. Thank you. The next one we're going to do is a song that the Doobie Brothers made famous back when, called "Taking It to the Streets." Reworked the words tonight to reflect what we're here for. So I hope you enjoy it. This is "Taking It to the Streets," the ArtMix version.
And don't forget to introduce the musicians to come see us.
Yeah, we actually, as we're tuning up a few things here, we actually are the house band for the All That Jazz and Blues Club on East 10th Street. So we're like 2 blocks from Mass Ave, going back east. There on 10th Street and across from the John Bonner Center. On Friday evenings, the doors open at 7, and we actually do open mic. So we invite people that have great talent and those that think they have great talent and everybody in between, and we have a lot of fun. And then on Saturdays, we have regular club hours where we, as a trio, we have other artists that sit in with us, and it makes it an amazing experience. So we get different genres of music with our group because of some of the artists that like sitting in with us. So we are truly blessed to be able to share our gift, and that's why we're here tonight, that those that have been labeled disabled need to be just as blessed to share their gifts. So we definitely appreciate being able to support the cause. You don't know me, but I'm your brother. I was born with disabilities. You ignore my kind in your world. Very soon the time we'll see. Oh, you telling me the things you're gonna do for me. I don't mind, 'cause our talents will fly and we'll fly free. Taking it to the streets. 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 You won't know me kind in your world. In my time to see. These are my new lyrics. Tell them we're rising together, right in front of those who don't know and can't see. Oh, you telling me the things you're gonna do for me. We don't mind, 'cause our talents are soar and we'll fly flee. Taking it to the streets. Taking it to the streets. Taking it to the streets. ArtMix is taking it to the streets. Yeah, you telling me the things you're gonna do for me. We don't mind, cause our talents are soaring, we'll fly free. Taking it to the street. ArtMix. Taking it to the streets. ArtMix is taking it to the streets. ArtMix is taking it to the streets. Come on, ArtMix. Tony Williams. Go Tony, go Tony, go Tony, go Tony. Yeah. ArtMix is taking it to the streets tonight, you guys. And the city's listening. Talent is in all people, including those we've labeled disabled. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here for our Clowes conversation this evening. I'm James Kramer, Community Relations Manager for Clowes Memorial Hall of Butler University. And it is a really exciting evening. Many of you have been here for a while viewing the art in the exhibition upstairs, and that will be up until the morning of April 19th. So we'll be here through Spotlight, big fundraiser, and this helps us draw awareness to that event as well as to ArtMix and the programs that they have and how they serve the population. That's a quick segue into our conversation this evening, Art Redefining Disability. We have a lovely panel here to engage us in that conversation. I would mention that we are filming this evening, so we can capture this and you can go back and review that, share that with friends. You go to the Clowes website and to Clowes On Demand. To that end, we will be having some handheld microphones. If anyone has questions, we want to be able to have everyone in the room be able to know what the question is. So we'll ask you to speak into the microphones if you have questions. And then our panelists will take that over. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Gail Holtman from ArtMix. I wasn't sure who was coming up, but thank you, Gail.
Who's next? Thanks, James. Well, hello and welcome. Glad to see you all here this evening. Again, my name is Gail Holtman, and it's a pleasure to welcome you here this evening to this event that has been organized by ArtMix and kindly hosted by Clowes Memorial Hall. When we talk with people about the programs, the ArtMix programs, particularly the ones that we do in schools, we have a saying that describes our approach. We frequently say, learner variability is the norm, not the exception. Which is to say that we are not surprised when we go into a classroom to find a variety of students. Rather, we expect it, we plan for it, and maybe most importantly, we value it. The exhibit upstairs and tonight's conversation have both been designed to showcase this variety and the value that it brings to us individually and also to our community. And we hope you will enjoy it. Hope you already have enjoyed it. We also hope that you've enjoyed the musicians, the Jubilate Choir from the Indianapolis Children's Choir and the Triune Trio. Thank you very much to our musicians. This evening's event has been made possible by many people, so please help me thank them. Our silver sponsor, Eskenazi Health. Our bronze sponsors, Amerifab Inc., Anthem, Hoosier Care Connect, and Warner Bodies. And a special thank you to ArtMix board member Phil O'Malley and ArtMix board member and store owner of the Great Frame Up, Bruce Westphal, who is here somewhere. There he is. And of course, Clowes Memorial Hall. So thanks to all three. I am very proud to serve as the president and CEO of ArtMix, a nonprofit organization that provides access to the arts for people with disabilities. And I always like to ask, how many people have heard of ArtMix? Awesome, great. It's always interesting to find out. So I can talk on and on and on about ArtMix, but I won't. Because it would be much more interesting to hear from our folks over here. We have brochures in the back. You probably saw some of the signs upstairs. So there's a lot of ways to get the information about the organization. But so let me just say this. We are a nationally award-winning organization, and we could use your help. In November, we were invited to the White House to accept the 2015 National Arts and Humanities Youth Program Award. This award, Thank you. We're still excited about it. The award recognizes our urban artisan students. These are high school students. They work as a team to make art as a means of gaining job skills. As one of only 12 recipients of this award, we are proud and humbled, and it encourages us to continue the program so that we can serve more students with disabilities and help more students be prepared to transition from high school to the workplace and get and keep a job. So I invite you to consider how you can get involved and support ArtMix and help us continue to do this work. Let's see, my next role here is to introduce our panelists, right? Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Thank you. Always need reminders to remember everything I'm supposed to say. ArtMix, in addition to our national award, let me say that again, our national award. staff member Linda Whistler and our student Megan McNeil went to the White House and met Michelle Obama to receive this award. Yes, so in addition to being one of 12 nationally recognized programs, we are also one of 64 nonprofits that was selected to participate in Brackets for Good. Does everybody know what Brackets for Good is? All right, well, quick explanation. It is March 2nd, so if you care about collegiate basketball, it is also March Madness approaching. Today is March 2nd. Yes. Is it? It's Wednesday, it's March 2nd, right? Okay, good. And so Brackets for Good is kind of an online fundraising method that mimics mimics March Madness. So we are currently in our first matchup. Does anybody know where we are? Quick check. This is all online. And you can go to Brackets for Good and select Indianapolis and find ArtMix and contribute if you like to do it that way. We are currently matched up against Indie Film Fest. We are at 492 points, which means $492. And they are at 395, so we're ahead. There has been some fierce competition, which is good. I'm sure the Indie Film Fest is a worthy cause. We are worthier. Yes, ma'am.
Also worth mentioning is First Fridays is tomorrow.
You all should be up here speaking, not me. So yeah. So if you're having fun tonight and you want to experience that in 2 days, so today is Wednesday, I think we established that. In 2 days it'll be Friday, and also it'll be First Friday, the first Friday of the month, and that means that there will be an exhibit reception at ArtMix Gallery, which is at 16th and Delaware in the Harrison Center for the Arts. So you can come back, see more art, get more food. We usually have a free art making activity. I'm not sure what it is this month. Collage, thank you. All right, anybody else want to tell me what I'm... Okay, let me finish up. Yes.
They do the artists that come down there, I guess you just call it gallery, or what's the other word, but anyway, they make their art, which is awesome, ceramics as well as, right? But they make some of the coolest stuff, you guys, and some of it, I don't know, but it runs from $2 to whatever, and I'm telling you, I got some of the cutest Christmas ornaments I've ever had, but I'm just telling you, it's very cool, very, very cool.
What she said. All right, so I've been told I need to move it along, so let me move it along. Let me introduce to you the people we really want to hear from tonight, and it's a real pleasure for me to introduce all of these folks. I am the proud caretaker of artwork from Leah and Warren, and I need to add Tony to my mix. So let me start with Leah Keel. Leah Keel is an abstract painter. She's born and raised in Indiana and has been interested in art from a young age and attended Heron School of Art and Design. She's an advocate for disability civil rights, having served on similar panel discussions before. She's a passionate supporter of making the arts available for underserved communities, as studies have shown the enrichment of receiving creative instruction leads to the benefit of improved grades for children. Leah is also a regular participant in the ArtMix Open Studio classes and has also recently opened her own studio. So welcome, Leah. Warren Miller was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and has lived and worked in central Indiana for the past 35 years. He was inspired by his father's and his grandfather's artworks and pursued an interest in art at an early age. He attended the Rochester Institute of Technology in New York, where he studied graphic design for 5 years. Warren is a world-renowned artist in the deaf community and was interviewed and featured in the nationally known magazine Deaf Life, and his artwork has been featured on the ABC Family Channel TV show Switched at Birth. Welcome, Warren. Tony Williams is a musician, athlete, published author, and an award-winning speaker. He has played alongside jazz greats Jimmy Coe, Pookie Johnson, and David Baker, and played with wheelchair basketball teams including the Chicago Pacemakers, the Indiana Olympians, and the RHI Pacers, which he helped to found. At the age of 15, a sniper in a gang on Chicago's west side shot him in the back, which left him with a spinal cord injury. And today, Tony shares his story as a motivational speaker, telling kids how important music can be in their lives. Welcome, Tony. And finally, let me introduce to you ArtMix board member and tonight's moderator, Michael Kaufman, who, in addition to serving on our board, is the Vice President of Civic Investment for the Health and Hospital Corporation of Marion County. He's spent the last 5 years supporting art and design, ecology, and equitable livability initiatives for Eskenazi Health. He recently served as the Connect Indy project manager as part of Plan 2020 and is currently working with the Central Indiana Community Foundation and Indy Chamber to develop a strategic plan for the cultural economies of Indianapolis. In addition to the ArtMix board, Michael serves on the Indianapolis Parks Foundation board and the Indiana Sports Corp President's Council, and he is the co-chair for the Local Initiatives Support Corporation's Great Places 2020 Steering Committee. We're glad he's here tonight. So let me hand it over to Michael, and thanks for being here.
The bio with the most acronyms is usually the most boring one, to be honest. But thank you, Gail, and thank you for everything you do for ArtMix and for our community. Before I turn over to our panelists and ask them some questions here, I just wanted to share a couple things that are more important than my bio, the reason why I'm up here tonight. And just to give some quick background, so music and art for me has provided a very unique set of skills that helped prepare me for having a son with Down syndrome. I have learned that we all speak different languages, and it's these different languages that make a very rich and beautiful, complex community that we live in. So that's what we're here about tonight. And it's not just the differences that make our rich community, it's also when we find those commonalities within those differences. And so this is a celebration of both our differences and our similarities. So I'm really excited to be part of this panel. We have had an opportunity to talk to them all before this and meet with them, and it's been a really wonderful experience and a great learning experience, and I hope you have the same experience tonight. So to start off, we want to talk about each of these individuals' great art and music and give them a chance to talk about when they first became interested in art and when they first started creating art. So I'll start at the end with you, Tony. When did you first become interested in art, and when did you first start making music and art, or music for you?
I first became interested in, I would say, March 1975, a couple years after my getting shot by a sniper in Chicago. I was near depressed, a little lonely, and I was a little upset at my mom for wanting to stay around me all the time and coddle me and, you know, make sure everything was all right. I was going to be fed and stuff like that. So I insisted that she leave and go and, you know, live her life. And so after she didn't want to leave, but she went to her friend's house, and I had the opportunity to talk to the creator, and I would say, okay, what now? What am I going to do now? And after that conversation, I turned on the TV and First thing I saw at that time was American Bandstand. And then I watched that, and I watched Soul Train. And as I was watching the kids dance, the way they was dancing back then, they was dancing with their hands and their upper body. And I was like, I can do that. And I started doing that. I started dancing, and when mother got home, she said, "What are you sweating for?" And I was just saying, I was just working out. But that was the beginning of me dancing and my love for music that I had put in the rear view of my life because it was easy to put a ball through the basketball, goal than it was to go to the music class and learn how to read music, and that was boring and everything. So I just took it for granted, but I used to be able to hear people tune up before they would even get there. I had a gift for music, but I just took it for granted. But that was the beginning in 1975, and unfortunately my guardian was shot and killed in 1977, and that was the reason I moved down here. His sister and family brought the body down here for burial. So instead of me going to University of Wisconsin Whitewater on the athletic wheelchair basketball scholarship, I was down here for the funeral. And January 5th, that's when the snowstorm of '77 hit. And I've been here ever since.
That's one of the few times I'll say I'm grateful for a giant snowstorm, so that we got to have you
I
be.
am too, because
Yeah.
I hate Wisconsin. I'm sorry.
Well-
I'm sorry, man, anybody from Wisconsin, but I'm sorry.
Tony, I'm also grateful that it was Soul Train that you turned on and not Lawrence Welk. So
Yeah.
no offense to Lawrence Welk fans, sorry. Warren, how about you? Can you talk a little bit about when you first became interested in art and when you started creating?
Well, I started when I was 8 years old, and I was in the church, and that time we had no interpreters or anything. I just sit there at 8 years old, nothing doing, and as you know, that my father was an artist. He just took out a pad and gave me pad and paper, and I started to draw, and that's where I started it. And later I came over to see my grandfather's house and saw all his oil painting. He done a lot of photorealistic painting, and it was just so, hit me, really inspired. And that's when I started doing it, and my grandfather gave me a book. It was an old 1948 book, How to Draw. And I just started to follow the direction how to follow, to draw. And I started to paint when I was 11 years old. And I had my first canvas, and I started painting canvas from 11 years old. And I was really hooked on it all the way to, by the time I went to college, I studied both painting and graphic design. And when I left there for 5 years after that, I took my first job here in Annapolis, and I had been working ever since as a graphic designer until about almost 40 years. And I got laid off, and I tried to look for another job, and they say I was too old. They said I got too many years of experience, and the other one, they said I was deaf. So I sat down thinking about what other path I can take, so I went back to painting. And so I went from there, and it was a rough road at first, but it got very successful and all that. So here I am.
Great. Thanks, Warren. Leah?
My story's a little bit more humble. I think that my kindergarten and my first grade teacher recognized that I colored in the lines very well. And I was encouraged at that young age to enter things like the 500-mile race coloring contest and things like that. But early on, there seemed to be a recognition that I seemed to have an affinity for color and placement. And I went to public school the first 2 years of my life, and then I transferred from there to parochial school. And I don't know if many of you know, but parochial schools don't have a lot of money for art. So other than just sketching or a very simple watercolor, I wasn't really exposed to a lot of materials or anything like that. So it was a lot of years before I really got any real art instruction. But I always had a love, and it was from very early on. So that's
Great. Thank you. Leah, I'm going to start with you on this one. Can you talk about some of your sources of inspiration, both for your art, and then also what keeps you inspired?
Okay. I'm pretty much an intuitive artist, and I'm inspired, and it's pretty cliche, by everything around me. But it's true. I mean, I look at life as sort of a tapestry. I enjoy people watching wherever I am, and I can't say that I love architecture and just the movement of life. And that was another thing that I loved, was the very first time I was able to actually draw someone in the nude. I mean, that was just, that's what every artist's dream is, I think, when you sit in a classroom and you have a nude in front of you, until it actually happens and you're kind of like, oh my God. But it was, the human body and and life and movement is your greatest teacher. So.
Yeah, great. Warren, how about you? Sources of inspiration?
Well, when I was a graphic designer, and I didn't know much about my inspiration, but when I got let go, when I was let go, I went back and looked at my painting and tried to find my inspiration, what hit me, and I started to explore where the graphic design came from. And when I saw the foundation of the graphic design was the Bauhaus, and I looked into Bauhaus, and I looked at the Russian constructionism, I looked at the modernism and everything, and when I saw all that style, and I liked the bold colors and the straight lines and everything, and I realized that this is my style, and that's what really inspired me to take it from that direction.
Great. Tony, how about you? Inspirations for you and your music?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. They called me Hell on Wheels when I was in the hospital because the nurses, they told me afterwards when I healed up that they used to pull straws to see who would take care of me that day. And it was rightly so, because I was cussing out everybody. Oh, no. And my mother was in the room, and I still was cussing the doctor out. But you got to understand, I was 15. I didn't care, but one of the inspirations was I was on the 5th floor, and my cousin, she was a nurse, she was on the 7th floor. Word got to her what I was doing, throwing trays at people, and the people trying to help me. I was cussing them out and everything, trying to bite the doctor. And so she bought me a radio, and she gave me a tongue lashing, and she told me, you stop, these people trying to help you. They did not do it, they didn't shoot you, so you listen to this music. And she plugged it up, and she said, next time I hear you cuss somebody out, I'm going to hit you where it hurt. And so that was one inspiration, but the other inspiration was... The other inspiration was young people. When I see young people dancing, and especially when I go to schools and talk to them, and I see them dancing, and so I might start breaking for them, and I'll do something that they don't think I should be able to do. So after I get through doing it for them, they say, oh, man, that was cool. I didn't know people in wheelchairs can dance. And I said, well, anything you could do, we could do better, you know. And no, but it grabs their attention, and then they leave with a positive about something that to them is supposed to be negative because of what they see, you know. Man, he's in a wheelchair, you know. He that's it for him. He can't do nothing in their mind, you know, because they haven't been taught yet, right? So the dances of young people has been an inspiration, along with the threats of my cousin.
I'm not sure if I want that kind of inspiration, but sorry. It's a great segue into the next question. The question I was going to ask, I'm going to alter it just a little bit, was as a community, what are ways we can make the arts more accessible for all people? And I think it's interesting because you're illustrating a story where you're showing individuals who might have more accessibility because of being typically developed, or whatever term you want to use, that you are making the arts accessible to them through showing them how you can dance in a wheelchair. So kind of thinking it from both directions, what are ways that we can make the arts more accessible for all people? And maybe Warren, do you want to start, or whoever is ready?
Who's the oldest?
I'll let you guys figure that out.
I think you're still 15 over there.
I really had a lot of trouble getting the art community here in Annapolis because you know, my work is based on my deaf experience, and some of the drawings are very thought-provoking, and I had to go to find a deaf community like in Chicago or Kentucky or you know, in Cleveland and New York, where there's a larger deaf community that I can be able to sell. But I've been, it would be nice to have a gallery here just for all the disabled to come. You know, for have an art show for in different individual, you know, different artists who had disabled. But it's pretty difficult because we don't have that very many. They're kind of scattered everywhere, and we don't have any communication or some kind of connection to keep it moving. That's where I'm coming from. So I don't know. I don't have the answer for what the solution to it.
Right.
Well, I'll
Leah?
just jump in real quick. I've been talking to some Lydia with ArtMix, and I just think conversations are the way. I think these kinds of conversations are what's going to bring awareness. I think that, you know, you have an audience with people who are disabled and their families, but the only way that you can spread the word and for more people to become interested is to open those conversations up in another way. So we've kind of tried to bounce around some ideas about how to do that through ArtMix. I've really enjoyed being there, and they've certainly been a venue for me and for my artwork, an unexpected venue because I was hiding at home, and then suddenly Linda, I'm not sure where Linda is, showed my work. When I was unwilling to show it, she showed my work. And I want to thank her for that because she's helped me sit at this table right here and talk to you because I was not someone that would have done that before. So, yes, I do think we need a venue. I think ArtMix is a venue for showing work for our community. And when I embrace you and Tony as my community, but I think that maybe we need a larger venue until ArtMix grows up a little more. We need some more venues that are willing to show more of our work.
Tony, how about you?
I was share this from 1979. I went to a dance-a-thon at IUPUI, and through the dance-a-thon, they took 4 pictures of me dancing, doing popping willies, doing serpentine patterns, and just basically at that time still doing John Travolta moves. But it was on the front page, and a place like New Hope was still around. And they called me and asked me if I could come out and demonstrate to their, I won't say patience, but their, I guess they are patient, how to dance from a wheelchair. But I look at this is a new generation. I think when I talked to Lydia, I said, Dad, we got to do this again? Because it seemed like we, every 20 or 30 years, we have to re-educate not only the able-bodied population, or what we used to call TAB, temporary able-bodied population, because, if you don't see us now, you'll see us later, A lot of people out there got scooters. It won't cost you 1 red cent. But it's for real, though. I think we have to educate not only the able-bodied population, but coming from the point of view of player, coach, recruiter of the Pacers wheelchair basketball team. I founded the team, too. I want to let y'all know that. Coach Knight helped, but I founded the team. But one of the problems that I had was disabled people, getting them involved. It was like pulling tooth. It was just like, you better play basketball. It's like putting a gun on them. I'm telling you, the Pacers is going to give you a $100 suite. All you got to do is show up. They're going to get transportation. They're going to fly you out to Vegas to play in the tournament. And you still don't want that? So a lot of it has to do with the disabled population as well as the able-bodied population. I always tell people, you talk to their families about somebody who has gotten hurt. They have to educate themselves as well as much, about their loved ones, so they can be able to relate to them, be able to talk to them, so they won't have to call me in so I can tell them how to put on their shoes. So this is what I wrote down. A new generation, and I was thinking about the deaf school when y'all was talking. The deaf school, that's a new generation that has to be, we have to tap into. And so ArtMix, they always been doing a great job.
Yeah.
But it still is some other people that, we have to educate.
Yeah, I think it's for everyone needs to be willing to step into something new or different or something they're not familiar with from whichever direction they're coming from.
Yeah.
And that willingness and creating an environment where people feel comfortable stepping into that new experience.
See, that's the thing about it, that word, comfortable.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, everything is not going to be comfortable.
Right.
So just like this morning when I was watching the weather, and they said, well, today is Red Cross Month. I said, wait a minute, this is March, Disability Awareness Month. But they're celebrating, Red Cross Month, trying to get people to give some blood.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gave enough last week, but but I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, so this last question is a fairly big question, and we'll end on this question with the questions that I have, and then turn it over to the audience if you have questions. But what is one message or idea that you would like people to take away from this event? And sorry, Leah, do you want to start?
Well, in listening to Tony, one of the things that I had to do was I had to get brave.
Yeah.
I guess you can hear me. I had to get brave. It's a hard thing to do to stick your neck out and sit in front of people. For me, it's particularly hard because I have PTSD. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, you haven't been in the service. No, I have not been in the service, but I have post-traumatic stress disorder. And when you have a mental health disability, a lot comes with that, you know. I've had some pretty cruel things said to me. So it's hard for me to stick my neck out. And so convincing someone to be brave enough to even come and sit at a panel table is hard. As a lady named Jackie and another lady named Rose here know, when they try to find an artist to step forward for their organization to do it just a few weeks ago, it's difficult. You can't find someone to do that. So first, you're right. We need to get brave, and then we need to get talking, and we need to stop hiding.
Great, thanks. We'll go to you, Tony, and then Warren.
Okay. I was reading this with one message or idea that I would like to get over to people to take away from this event. Well, that's hard for me because, you know, I've gotten to that point where, you know, I'm not asking nobody to give me that and, you know, open the door, I get it myself. Because, you know, I have friends that, you know, can't scratch their nose, can't wipe their forehead, and, you know, I remember them, the quadriplegics. So long as I'm able to get out there and push and go where I want to, because if I know if I can go and play with the band, I'm going to enjoy myself. If I know I can go and get me a spot on the dance floor, I'm going to enjoy myself. You know, if I know I can go to karaoke and sing a song that I want to sing, I'm going to enjoy myself. As long as I'm able to get out the house and get in my car and drive wherever I want to enjoy myself, then I'm going to do that. But I wrote down here that if given an accessible chance, you know, I would like to do all those things and write my books, write my plays, and, you know, just that's all I ask for is an accessible chance. And when I mean accessible chance, you know, when people ask me to record with them, they want me to lay down some percussion tracks. I said, what floor are you on? Oh, man, I didn't think about that. I said, I know, that's why I asked. It's the second floor, or you in the basement. So, you know, that's all I ask, accessibility. That's all I ask.
Yeah. Thanks. Warren?
Well, deaf people were invisible. And if you walk down the street and you see a person walking, you can't tell whether it's a deaf person or a hearing person. So we're kind of invisible. But we're working hard to be, and I think the one message we wanted to do is to expose ourselves and get the message out there that we're not alone. And that's what I've been doing for so long.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to turn it over to you all. If you have any questions, there's a microphone. Who has the mic? Oh, down over here. So if you have one, just raise your hand and we'll come to you.
He wants you to come over here.
There's someone coming.
Carl.
Here you go. Give it testing.
Testing. Oh, okay, good. I really appreciate being here this evening, tonight, and seeing everybody and having this experience with all the art. And I know Tony, and it's a wonderful thing to see people, and we all have a disability of one sort or another. You let everybody speak on it, right? Because I got a. But anyway, I want to ask a question about in the community, the disabled, so-called disabled community, whatever. Do you ever hear, or do you all speak in terms of perfection, or are you aware of the perfection that you are as individuals, And really this would be a question for everybody, but I'm speaking to you all because tonight it's a certain perfection that I feel and sense and see and know about you, so, and that you're perfect without any flaw, in the sense that you're perfectly who you are. And I just wonder, do you feel that, or do you all get that in your community? Like, hey, I'm perfect. Hey, look at me. You can look at hey, I'm perfectly who I am. And using that as a positive base from which to live each day, and from which every good can come from. But that perfection, do you all feel that? Do you talk about it? Do you understand it? I mean, without preachers, people say, you're not perfect, I'm not perfect. They tell us, everybody in this audience has probably heard it. But do you feel it? Do you talk about it? Do you all understand anything about your perfection without any flaw? Nobody's more perfectly you than you are of yourself. And therein lies the perfection of untold beauty. So do you understand that? Do you all speak on that?
Well, I was going to let them, you want to touch it? Because, I know what I was saying. Just what I said earlier, the hardest thing for me is getting out of bed. And the hardest thing after that is getting in bed. Because, I promised myself, I promised my Lord that if you let me do this, I won't do this again, But I try to keep my promises. And I want to leave a legacy similar to that. Like I said, nobody's perfect, but I want to strive toward perfection.
You are perfect.
Well, my hamstring not perfect right now. My hamstring is screaming.
But what I was just saying, you're perfectly who you are, regardless. If I go out here and get hit by a Mack truck today, I'm still perfectly me. And it's about being positive about that, because we all go through things in life. We're born a certain kind of way, but it's how you think and how you feel, and we are all blessed, spiritually blessed, and you're perfectly you, but you got to use that perfection to do the things that are good for you to do, to help others, help yourself, and don't claim, I can't go dunk balls, dunk shots and stuff. I can't run.
That's why I was saying I was going to let them answer you, because I'm cool. I was going to let them answer, because I know I've been there, done that, got T-shirt, I'm cool.
Leah, do you have thoughts on that? Or Warren, go ahead, Warren.
Well, I'm sorry. There's one thing. My experience, I know that I'm deaf, and I accepted that. But at first, I did not accept it, because a lot of the hearing people, when I was growing up, make fun of me. And at that time, I was so hateful of hearing people. And the funny thing is, I married a hearing wife. But as I grew older, I have a lot of doctors come up to me and say, we can fix you and make you perfect. And I don't want to be perfect. I'm happy with who I am. And, what more, I don't want to be fixed, So that's the whole point.
Leah?
Well, I think the best way for me to answer that is life is a struggle. I have my struggle, you have your struggle, everybody has their struggle. I think my struggle has helped me become who I am. So in that, that is the perfection in which you speak, I think. Sometimes I think more the question might be, would I choose not to be who I am? And no, I would not. I think it gives me insight into so much that I think that just goes right over so many people's heads. And we talk about that at ArtMix. Since I have a mental health disability, I get to say this. I'm a little crazy, and I'm happy to be there. So, you know, and those, okay, Tony, you and I are going to get to know each other, I can tell you. But it's just, people want to fix things that don't need to be fixed.
Amen to that.
No.
Amen to that. I wanted to piggyback on that because, you know, I know some guys that was injured and they got up and went back to doing the thing that got them injured. And I said, you ain't learned yet? And, you know, but they couldn't be around me because I was too positive. You know, and they got tired of their parents or their friends. Why don't you be like Tony? Man, F Tony. I'm tired of hearing about Tony. I said, man, you didn't say that. I'm tired. Every time they want to talk about you. I said, okay, you don't have to, okay. We don't have to be friends, you know, just, I see you. But, you know, it was just, I'm happy in my, you know, I don't know if you ever seen the robe when the centurion said, well, if you believe in him so much, why didn't he heal you? And you know, I wanted to heal him from the inside out, not the outside in. That's what I found out I needed. And that's what I got, and that's what I prayed for. That's, you know, that's why I say I'm cool, you know. And the thing about it, people remind me, there's people 35 years of age that, you know, seen me in 6th grade. And now they telling me, man, you need to go back to that school and talk to my kids and tell them what you told me. And I be thinking, why me? You had them, you know. But, you know, I understand, you know, it's almost like a ministry now, and I look forward to it. I'd rather be around kids than adults. Nothing personal, but.
Any other questions out there? Back here in the corner. Oh.
I would say, given the importance that we each have a means of expression, it's important that we each have a means of expression throughout the life spectrum, some way to express ourselves in the arts. What are the most important things we can do as individuals and as a community to ensure that we have these opportunities for everyone?
He said he has a question. What?
What can we do as individuals to make sure everyone has the opportunity to express themselves? And that might also, I mean, if some of the ArtMix staff want to chime in on that too, I think that would be appropriate.
Because we don't want to bring the politicians in.
We have to be advocates.
Yes.
We have to stand up. We have to not take no, we can't let them tell us what we can and cannot do with our own children. What we can and cannot do within our own communities. I mean, they already want to, I think this started during Reagan's administration, where they want to privatize everything. Well, let's privatize this. You know, let's privatize taking back our lives and making decisions about making the arts available for the young and for whoever can. Now, you know, you want answers about how to do that and budgets and all that sort of thing. Well, I'm not that person, but I'm willing to help. I'm willing to serve, and but it starts with, as a community, coming together and having those conversations. And that's why I say the conversation has to get started, I think.
There is ArtMix is part of a consortium of art organizations here in town that were awarded a Kennedy Center grant for a program called Any Given Child. Is that the right title of that program? And the promise is, it's a process to begin to do some planning to what would it take and what does it look like to be able to provide art courses for every IPS child in the IPS system. And so that's a really exciting process that started that, you know, there's some really exciting potential with that. So there is some good work being done by a lot of the community civic arts organizations, stakeholders, and it'll be be exciting to see what happens with that program in the next couple years.
I'd like to just kind of follow up with the question that was just asked, because I was thinking, and I thank the panel today for sharing, because it opens my eyes to some realities that you all face. I'm involved in a lot of different protests in the city, and trying to find rights and trying to include people in this whole American experience. And as I begin to send out invitations to my friends about this event, many of them are part of protests as well. And I told them, I said, here we are able to go walk and talk and chant and do all that we do for these different rights. I said, but it seems like this is the part of our community that really needs to be the protest. So as I'm listening to this, I was thinking and asking the question is, are these civil rights? Because as a minority, we have to overcome the labels that have been placed on us and the attempt to ignore our history and even how we even got here, and then what that implies. So with the disability issue, are these civil rights that should be included in the community protest of making America the kind of place that we say it was and it should be?
Let's see, is Linda you still here? Linda Whistler? Is Justin Dart, did he pass? Yeah. Okay. You know who Justin Dart was? David? Justin Dart was a fire plug who came to Indianapolis, I want to say maybe early 90s, and we was all at a, civil rights for people with disabilities, and I made the point of not, I would say I stood up, I spoke up. And I said something to the point where if we don't do it for ourselves, then who would do it for us? And like I said, that was the early 90s. And it looked like we have to, it's a new generation that was probably 5 or 6 years of age at that time. And now they probably at the age of, work. Maybe they got a family. And something that you have to address again. Yeah, it's all part of civil rights. And that's why I say it's not just people with disabilities, because like he said, everybody has a disability. I mean, I go to Meyer and I say, man, well, all these wheelchairs in this parking lot, and just people taking advantage of, and get out and run a 100-yard dash into the store and come out, and with a wheelchair parking space. But everybody has a disability, and everybody should be involved into making it, preparing it for yourself, because you're not going to be, able to move around and be mobile, give yourself 20 or 40 years. Yes, ma'am. Oh,
Before you go on, go ahead.
I just wanted to say you're about a year late. Last year, many of us were wearing bracelets and buttons that said disability rights are civil rights in celebration of the 25th anniversary of the ADA. And I was privileged to be able to go to Washington, D.C. last July and join in a march commemorating the signing of the ADA. On another note, though, I try to raise this in all sorts of panels that I'm in. Last week it was or a couple of weeks ago, a transportation issue. Don't forget the rural communities. ArtMix, we need some things that reach out because there are wonderful artists. I was just thinking, I have a young girl who is one of my consumers in the town of Paoli. She's in a wheelchair. She needs positive examples, and we need things that reach out into the rural communities of Indiana to let those children, especially with disabilities, but all people with disabilities, know that there are others that are in that battle and that they can do things, and that they can be appreciated for the things they can do and not just pitied for the things they can't.
Great, thank you. We actually have to Sorry, we had to actually transition. Thank you for all your great questions. And if you still have questions, I'm sure some of our panelists will be sticking around, and you can come up and ask them. And I hope this conversation continues, and I know that ArtMix is going to work hard to continue it. So I'm sorry that we have to cut the questions off. But again, thank you everyone for being here tonight. Just a couple of reminders. This conversation will continue Friday night at First Friday, so please come out and see the exhibition at the Harrison Center for the Arts, where ArtMix is located. So we hope to see you there. And also on your way out, as Gail mentioned, we are competing in the Brackets for Good. That website is, let me see here, I've got it written down. It's really easy. Oh, it's on the back of your program. It's just bfg.org, and you can go on there. And if everyone tonight were just to give a little, we would advance in our bracket, and that would be really exciting. So hope that you will support in that way. And there's, in fact, I believe there's iPads here that we can, no? Okay, well, you can get out your phone or find some of a smartphone and do it for them. But when you get home, what's that? If we win, if we advance, we get $10,000. But the beauty of that, the beauty of the program is even if we don't win, we get everything that was committed. So it goes to us. So it's a great thing. So the two artists upstairs in the gallery, and then Tony has some music upstairs as well on CD, so you can go visit his table and talk to them more about that. So I hope you'll support these artists and support the rest of the ArtMix community. Am I forgetting anything? I think that's it. So thank you so much for being here tonight.